What's going on, guys? It's Rest, and in today's video I want to go over my Doomcast Amara build. Now this is a build that I put together a little bit before the launch of this DLC, but this is its official full-on level 65 build, and it is absolutely insane. This build is going to be based all around your Hellwalker and your action skill doing an insane amount of damage and one-shotting almost every enemy in the game. I know I say this in almost every single build, but this is probably my favorite build in the entire game. It is super fun to play, and I highly recommend trying it out. And if you want to try it out, as always, my builds are located in my Discord channel. If you would like to download them, the link to the Discord will be in the description. If you download the build, enjoy the video, find it helpful in any way, remember to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It's free, and it's what allows me to keep making videos like this for you guys. But with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed the build. Alright, so there's actually a lot of stuff that goes into this build between the axial damage and the Hellwalker damage. So I'm going to go back and forth between the gear and the skills in this build video and kind of explain how everything is working so you can have a better understanding of what's going on. So obviously for the weapons, we're going to be running the Hellwalkers. I have one with a wild and 50% health, you get 150% bonus radiation damage annoying, and a phase cast annoying. So you may be thinking to yourself, well, if you're only going to run the Hellwalker, then what is the ad clear or mobbing capabilities of this? Because the Hellwalker is really good at single target damage or really good at killing one target, but it can't kill multiple targets. The bullets can ricochet when you hit crits, and that is going to play into what we're doing. But this one right here is going to be your main mobbing weapon, and the reason for that is I'm going to be running an Atom Bomb Deathless right here, where you're going to get more aura damage. The aura burst damage from the radiation explosion is going to do more damage, and the aura is going to have a bigger radius. So now your radiation is going to help you ad clear. This is giving you more shotgun damage, more magazine size, and more action skill cooldown rate. The action skill cooldown rate is really good for constantly using your phase cast, which is going to do a lot of damage that we'll get into in a second. We're getting 62% magazine size, which is going to actually give you another shot in the Hellwalker, which is really good, and you're getting more shotgun damage. So now you have this Hellwalker that can ricochet on crits. The radiation is doing an insane amount of damage for AoE, and on top of that, we're going to be running 3 points indiscriminate, so all our bullets has another chance to ricochet even if we hit body shots. So now we have this constant loop of crits ricocheting, body shots ricocheting, and your radiation doing a ton of damage, which is also going to spread to other people and killing enemies. So your one Hellwalker is at clearing the entire battlefield with just a couple shots, and it is absolutely insane. Going back to this Hellwalker, like I said, with action skill damage, if you don't know, this anoint actually works with action skills. This radiation damage is going to be applied to your action skill, and it's going to scale to your action skill damage. So now you have whatever action skill element you're running, you're going to have radiation damage with that as well. And if you don't know, radiation is really good against shields, and it is neutral against health bars. So now you have a very solid element to take down most enemies in the game, and you can run a corrosive phase cast to kill armor targets as well. Or obviously you could double dip and take a shock action skill element or incinerate action skill element to make the radiation even stronger. Now speaking of action skills, I'm going to be running a reverberation phase cast, because if you don't know, when this phase cast goes to an enemy, it essentially gives that phase cast 50% more damage, which is going to make the next target for sure die, and then it can go through that target and it's going to keep stacking damage. So if you have enemies in a line, this is going to do an insane amount of damage. Very, very good for single target, and it's honestly good for bossing too. On the lower enemy bosses, you can take down health bars really quickly with just 1 or 2 phase casts, and then you're going to proc things like Groundbreaker, which then you can just melee an enemy, and all the damage that's stacked up from your phase cast, you're going to one-shot the boss. It's kind of crazy. Now, to make the axe skill do more, I'm going to be running Revelation, which does decrease your axe skill damage, but this is going to make the AoE or mobbing or ad clear of this phase cast a lot better, because now you're going to have a Nova that scales to your axe skill damage, and now when you throw this phase cast out, you're going to be killing a lot of single targets, but you're also going to have Novas going off to killing every enemy around it, and it is absolutely insane. This also helps if you're running the buddy system Mayhem mode modifier, because for some reason your phase cast can't kill buddy systems. I don't really understand why, but the Revelation explosion actually can, so it takes the shields off, so it helps in that aspect as well. And then, like I said, for action skill element, you can run anything. You have access to all 3, and whatever you're going into, you can swap them out. Now, since we talked about Groundbreaker for a split second when I was talking about your action skill stacking your damage up, we're going to be running things like Illuminated Fist and Find Your Center to buff your melee damage and melee range as well. And Illuminated Fist is putting your action skill element on your melee, which is really good for bossing as well. So if you're going against a corrosive target, you can run the corrosive axial element, stack damage up, and then you're going to have a corrosive melee, do an insane amount of damage with these two skills in Groundbreaker, and pretty much one-shot the boss. It is absolutely insane. Not only is this a Hellwalker build, it is a active skill and melee build as well. It is insanely fun. But now, getting back over here to the Hellwalkers, obviously this Hellwalker is absolutely insane. The amount of utility and stuff that it does on top of just the damage that it does is ridiculous. It's buffing your active skill damage, it's buffing the guns damage, it's making the ad clear of the build absolutely insane, and it is primarily the one you're always going to be running. Now, for, like I said, bossing capabilities, I have a phase cast Hellwalker you can swap to at any point. It's easy to swap to, and you can destroy bosses with this thing. It's really not much else to say about this. I would highly recommend running this Hellwalker over the phase cast Hellwalker in most scenarios, except for bossing. If you need a little bit more damage for bossing, definitely swap to this one and you'll get that damage. Now, another thing I will say is if you're running this Hellwalker primarily, your active skill is not going to be doing as much damage as if you was running this Hellwalker. So if you're really focused on doing active skill damage, you need to make sure you have this one out so you can have your anointment proc, which is, like I said, scaling to your active skill damage. Now, for other stuff in this build, I'm running old gods. I have 5 of each element, so you can get more damage based on whatever you're going against. The reason I'm not going to run the plus ultra in this build is because we need to proc deathless, and more damage for this build is absolutely insane, so that's why I'm running the old god. As you see here, I have an old god that gives me 52,000 health. The deathless is obviously increased that by 100, so I have a 112,000 shield. It is honestly kind of ridiculous. That is some stuff you see on Moe's, and it's on Amara. To help with the survivability of this build is we're going to take 3 points of mindfulness over here, which is actually going to make your shield regeneration delay lowered. So when you're taking damage, you get out the fight, your shield's going to start recharging pretty much immediately with the amount of damage you're going to be taking, and that helps out a lot. Now for the grenade, I'm running an It's Piss. You can run whatever grenade you want to. I just like running this to apply the debuff. And again, just like the shields, I have one with each element, so you can swap them out with whatever you're getting yourself into. So you can focus primarily on doing, you know, elements for a boss. Say if you're going against Grave War, you can run Incendiary, Radiation, all that stuff. But if you're just generally playing the game, you could actually have all 5 elements on this Hellwalker right here. So you have Incendiary and Radiation for the Anoint. You can run a Cryo Shield, a Corrosive Grenade, and a Shock active skill element, and now you have all 5 elements on one Hellwalker, which is honestly insane, and it is super fun. Now, to help out with active skill damage and generally just the game, we're running a Phase Archer. If you don't know what the Phase Archer does, you're gonna get max rush stacks when you use any active skill. These rush stacks are gonna give you more cooldown rate and damage, and you get an additional 5 rush stacks. This one is giving you 32% weapon damage, 40% shotgun damage, 58% Jacob's critical damage. Obviously, all 3 of those are insane for the Hellwalker, and it lets you pretty much one-shot everybody. You don't even need overkill for this build because literally the damage you get out of it, you're already gonna one-shot people. Overkill just makes this even more insane, and it's honestly ridiculous. But like I said, the Phase Archer is going to help out with your axe skill damage. If you don't know, we're going to be running 5 points to do harm to get more axe skill damage based on these stacks. The Phase Archer is going to allow you to really ramp these stacks up really quick, and it's 5.9% because we're putting 3 points in Awakening as well to buff that damage even more. So once you get around 40 stacks, your axe skill is pretty much going to one-shot every enemy in the game. Once you get to 99, it's ridiculous. That's the point where you can start one-shotting bosses. So between those two and the Phase Archer, the damage you get is just absolutely ridiculous with your axe skill. And on top of that, you're getting an insane amount of damage for your Hellwalker as well. And it is just all around just the best comm for this build. But we've already went over the Iron Bomb Deathless. I think I will say we're always going to be trying to proc this Radiation Anoint. As you see, the Hellwalker has a very low chance to proc dots, but I'm putting 2 points of Valiant Tapestry, which is getting buffed to 1.6% because, like I said, we're taking 3 points in Awakening. So just like Do Harm, like I said, every time you use axe, we're actually getting stacks of this now, which is going to let your static chance go up like crazy, and it's going to pretty much let you always apply this Radiation to enemies, which is in return going to make your Radiation aura be insane and absolutely kill a lot of enemies between this and all the ricochets you're getting from Indiscriminate and the Jacob's weapon itself. Now, I have 2 more artifacts that I'm actually running, and as you see, we haven't went over the pistols yet. That's because we're going to run the Elemental Projector Deathless. The Deathless is to just keep the flow. I'm not really trying to like lose my shields if I'm swapping or something. and die in the middle of the fight. But this is giving you, once again, more shotgun damage, more actual quarter rate, and more magazine size. This is actually really good. As you see, you get 117% bonus damage, and if you don't know what the elemental projector does, whatever element is actually applied to you, you're getting that damage. So you can have all 5 elements applied to you, and all 5 of those elements that you're doing is getting increased by 117%. So this is arguably better than the Pearl at this point, depending on how you use it. So the things that makes this element projector really good is a level 26 sellout. It's level 26, so it doesn't do a lot of damage, and now that we're level 65, this thing barely hurts you at all anymore. But this is going to apply the dot to yourself, which is really good, because that is going to make you do more damage. So if you're going up against a boss, say you're going up against Wotan and you want to swap to this, you can easily just shoot yourself with corrosive, and now you're buffing your corrosive damage by 117%, and you can straight up melt bosses with this thing. If you're planning on melting bosses, you need to have this equipped. You can obviously kill bosses without it with ease, but if you want to get that instant kill, melt, definitely equip this and tag yourself with the sellout. Now, I'm also running the execute right here just because I have another slot open, but this is essentially going to apply a debuff to an enemy or whatever you throw it on. So you shoot all of the magazine, and once it's on 0, you reload it. When that gun hits an enemy, it applies a 50% debuff, which is absolutely insane. It's really good for bigger bosses, and if you just want to farm a boss really quick, throw this, shoot the sellout on you with the elemental projector, and the Hellwalker is going to absolutely destroy whatever boss. Now, for the final artifact, I have just a cut person launch pad just to get more ammo back. You can slam, it's going to launch rockets, and you get ammo back. You don't really ever have to use this, but it's just there just in case, because obviously you're running just shotguns as your main weapon, and you don't want to run out of ammo, so I have that there just in case. Alright, so I know that was a lot of explaining that just happened, but now we're going to get into the skills. I'm going to try to touch over every single thing. The stuff I've already went over, I'm not going to go over too much, but like I said, do harm is increasing your axe skill damage. Really good. It's really good with the Phase Archer, and you really need to take this if you want to get your axe skill damage up. Same with Valiant Tapestry, so you can keep proccing that radiation to do a lot of AoE. Now I'm taking 3 points of fast hands to give me reload speed and weapon swap speed. If you want to swap between the phase cast, if you go up against a boss or just a harder enemy, you can swap to your phase cast one really quick, kill it, then swap back, and the reload speed is obviously really good for the Hellwalker because you only have 2 shots. 3 points of transcend, so every time you use axe skill, we get more critical hit damage and more accuracy. This is really good for bossing and mobbing. The critical hit damage absolutely lets you destroy bosses, and you're going to one-shot almost every enemy in the game. 5 points of restless to get 25% more cooldown rate, so we can get our axe skill back as much as possible. And I've talked a lot about the Hellwalker, but once again, I'm going to bring up that your axe skill damage is absolutely insane for this build as well. You can destroy everything with your axe skill, whatever you want to do, just keep that in mind. So you can play around that plus the Hellwalker doing the same amount of damage. 1 point in Descendant so we can buff our axe skill augment, which is actually going to give our Revelation more damage now, which is nice. I'm putting 1 point in Alacrity because I gotta get down to the bottom and I had a couple points left over. This is going to help out a little bit with your reload speed to increase the DPS. Like I said with the Hellwalker, you only have 2 shots, but it does reload pretty quick. So honestly, 1 point in Alacrity and 3 points of fast hands is really all you need. But 3 points to Lay Bare, so whenever Axel hits an enemy, it applies a 25% debuff to them. So if your Axel does not kill an enemy, which it pretty much always will, this is actually going to apply a debuff, and you're going to do a lot of damage to them as well. This is really good for bossing. Between Lay Bare and Transcend, you're going to apply a debuff plus buff your critical hit damage, which is absolutely insane. And I think I'll say really quick is with Avatar, you're going to be able to use your axe skill twice, which is going to give you 2 stacks of Transcend, and you can keep the Lay Bare up even longer to absolutely destroy bosses. It is ridiculous. 3 points of Wrath, so we get even more damage, and then more when we pop our axe skill. It's really good for 3 points. You might as well just take this. 1 point Remnant, so we can spawn a Overkill Orb, which is going to track out an enemy and destroy whatever target it hits. This is also really good for your act clear capabilities. It's pretty much just always going to guarantee 1 kill, whichever one it goes and hits. And this actually can track the buddy system robots if you're running a buddy system, which is funny to me because a Remnant, of all things, is what can kill the buddy system robots, but if you throw a phase cast at it, it doesn't do anything. It's crazy to me. But like I said, 1 point in Avatar, I probably can go twice, but this is actually going to give you 10 bonus rush stacks, so you can have 25 rush stacks in total now, which is going to easily let you ramp up Do Harm and Valiant Tapestry to get your status effects proccing for your act clear, and your Do Harm stacks to do your axe skill damage. Now, getting into Defensive Elements, I actually have 5 points of Animal from our class mod, and I'm putting 1 in it because I had to get down to Indiscriminate, so it's getting buffed to 6. Animal actually is pretty good for this build because if you're proccing status effects on you with the sellout, they're gonna last longer. And the sellout, like it does 197 damage per second. It doesn't do much at all, but this is gonna let that status effect stay on you a little bit longer to do more damage, which is really nice. 3 points in steady hands, so you get more handling and accuracy. Really good for shotguns. 5 points in infusion, so we can convert 40% of our damage to whatever axle element we're running. This is really, really good for this build. Like I said earlier, where I was talking about you can run 5 elements on your Hellwalker, this is what is allowing that. You can run any axle element you want to. For the takedown, you can swap to corrosive. So obviously, your Hellwalker is now doing 40% corrosive damage, which means you can actually use the Hellwalker to take on armor targets, which is kind of insane. And it is insanely good. Like, infusion is what makes this, because obviously the Hellwalker is stuck to incinerate damage. So now you can run a Hellwalker, especially on Amara, with whatever element you want to. 5 points of Tempest to get 30% more elemental damage, 20% more shock damage. Very good skill for Amara. 5 points, just getting more damage. We already went over Illuminated Fist and what it does for Groundbreaker. And same as Indiscriminate, which makes the ag clear of this build insane. Getting into the last skill tree, 3 points of personal space. So when we're close to an enemy, we're going to get 54% bonus damage. This is really good because we're always going to be close to enemy. It's a shotgun. We're pretty much always going to have the max benefit of this proc, and you're going to be able to destroy things. 1 point root to rise, 1 point clarity, because I had to get down to the bottom. These are literally doing nothing, but 5 points in helping hands to get 40% damage reduction every time you use our active skill. So now when we use our active skill, we're getting more damage reduction, which is nice, and it's going to help out, like I said, with mindfulness, because we're going to be taking damage, and the damage you're taking is getting reduced, and we're stacking these mindfulness attacks up to get more movement speed and shield regeneration delay, so we can get our shield back. And we've already went over Finding Center as well, and what it does for Groundbreaker and Illuminated Fist. Alright, so I know that was a ton of explanation going on, and I know this is going to be a longer video than normal because it's a lot that goes into this build. This build is probably the most in-depth, I guess, confusing build because there's so much stuff that's happening at once, but with all that stuff happening, it is making this build absolutely insane. Not only is the Hellwalker super fun to use, it's making it the best weapon in the game. Your axe skill is actually killing people. It's not used to just proc things. You're going to be doing damage with it on top of proccing things, and everything combined together in one package, it just makes it one of the best builds in the game. Now, I hope I did my best in explaining that everything is going on, but if I didn't and you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment. I will try to answer it as fast as possible and let you know how it's working or, you know, what you need to change. I really hope you enjoyed this build because it is for sure one of my favorite builds, and I want everybody to experience how absurd this is. But that's going to do it all for me. Thank you all so much for this insane support I'm getting on my channel right now. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Prada Bay, run away, don't go. I'm in hell, might as well just go. Losing track, don't take my soul. I'm in first.